certification or recertification schemes. Abstract. A number of reputable organizations worldwide operate different personnel qualification and or certification schemes in the field of welding inspection, some of which are very popular. This video contains a comparison of various schemes, their specific requirements, and their relation with the other major national and international standards. It also investigates the possibility of an international standard on welding inspection, which could serve as a global personal certification scheme suitable for ISO IEC 17024 accreditation. Introduction. The American Welding Society (AWS) in the USA and the Welding Institute TWI-CSWIP in the UK introduced the first welding inspector personnel certification scheme in 1976. These schemes became widely accepted and were followed by similar schemes in Australia and South Africa, as well as a second scheme in the UK by BINDT PCN. The International Institute of Welding IIW also provides a welding inspector qualification scheme. Calls for tenders for various international projects, pipelines, oil refineries specify employment of welding inspectors, WI qualified and or certified according to some scheme, implicitly excluding the others. The purpose. The original purpose of welding inspector qualification and or certification schemes was to ensure a supply of shop-level quality control personnel. It was generally expected that welding inspectors would come from pools of welders and welding machine operators. In addition, other categories of technical personnel in the field of manufacturing were certified. These include entity inspectors, second and third party inspectors working for inspection or product certification houses, and managerial staff, especially at times when qualification of international welding engineer and European welding engineer could not be attained easily. The job outline of a welding inspection was also introduced in EN 719 1994, which defined it as examining, testing, and measuring of welding related matters. The definition was modified in ISO 14371 clause 3.4, which contains as the globally accepted formal definition for welding inspection, conformity, evaluation of welding related matters by observation and judgment, accompanied as appropriate by measurement or testing, with the additional note that welding inspection is a part of welding coordination. In addition, the task for inspection and testing before, during, and after welding are described in normative annex B of ISO 14371, B12, B13, and B14. There is also reference in ISO 3834-5 2005 Annex A, informative. The minimum requirements for inspection personnel are stated in the following document: International Welding Inspection Personnel, IWIP DOC IAB 041-2001/EWF 450. Personnel dealing with welding inspection fulfilling the requirements of these documents or holding acceptable national qualifications are considered to satisfy relevant requirements. While there are differences in the description of the roles and responsibilities and the levels of qualification certification of a welding inspector among the various schemes, there is a general agreement that the activities of the welding inspector include quality control, QC inspection, basically direct visual inspection (VT), which is excluded from ISO 9712 certification. Some schemes include radiographic interpretation (RI), quality assurance (QA). Most of the tasks and activities of the welding inspector fall under QA. The welding inspector is tasked to ensure that welders use the specified equipment and consumables are properly qualified, follow approved procedures for preparation, welding, and post-welding activities, etc. Therefore, an extensive knowledge of relevant standards ASME BPVC 9, ISO 15614, ISO 9606, etc. is essential. Management. The welding inspector is also tasked with some shop-level managerial tasks like coordinating destructive and non-destructive testing activities, collecting and filing records, etc. The extent of the managerial tasks depends on the business structure of the employer. The AWS scheme. This scheme for certified welding inspectors (CWI) is described in documents AWS B5.1 specification for the qualification of welding inspectors and AWS-CWI standard for AWS certification of welding inspectors. Welding inspectors in these schemes are qualified in 3 levels: Associate CE Certified Welding Inspector (CAWI), Certified Welding Inspector (CWI), and Senior Certified Welding Inspector (SCWI). The TWI-CSWIP scheme. This is a very popular British scheme sponsored by the Welding Institute (TWI), also with 3 levels: Visual Inspector CSWIP 3.0, Welding Inspector CSWIP 3.1, Senior Welding Inspector CSWIP 3.2. It is described in documents CSWIP WI 191. Requirements for the certification of welding instructors and specialist welding instructors. CSWIP WI 692. Requirements for the certification of visual welding inspectors, welding inspectors, and senior welding inspectors, fusion welding, in accordance with the requirements of ESEN ISO 17637 2016, CSWIP DIV 795 Part 1. Requirements for the certification of underwater diver inspectors, CSWIP DIV 795 Part 2. Requirements for the certification of ROV inspectors and underwater inspection controllers. And it is accredited by OCAS under ISO IEC 17024. In addition, TWI-CSWIP administers the specialized B-gas welding inspector scheme in accordance with National Grid UK. The IIW scheme, the IIW Welding Inspector Scheme described in IAB 041 is a more comprehensive scheme, and it is offered either as a stand-alone qualification or as an additional module to qualified international welding engineers and international welding technologists. While this scheme is also organized in 3 levels: International Welding Inspector Personnel Basic Level, IWIP Basic, International Welding Inspector Personnel Standard Level, IWIP Standard Level, International Welding Inspector Personnel Comprehensive Level, IWIP-Comprehensive. The requirements are higher than those of the AWS and CSWIP schemes. The IIW is also available under accredited certification in some countries. For example, by CSWIP is accredited by OCAS also for the IIW scheme. The BINDT PCN scheme, a quite similar scheme introduced by the British Institute of Non-Destructive Testing. It is quite similar to the CSWIP scheme, and its introduction caused a level of friction between the two organizations. Welding and Joining Quality Board Certification of Welding Inspectors, Connect number 125 July August 2003, page 7. It is described in documents PCN/WI/01, and it is also accredited by OCAS under ISO IEC 17024. The National Welding Inspector Schemes of Australia, Welding Technology Institute of Australia WTIA, and South African Institute of Welding SAIW follow the general layout of the IIW scheme. The other National Welding Inspector Scheme of Pakistan, Dascon Technical Institute DTI, follow the general layout of the IIW, CSWIP and CWI scheme. Comparison of welding inspector qualification certification schemes. The scheme contains 3 tables where the requirements for access to each welding inspector level are listed for 4 popular schemes: BINDT/PCM, TWI/CSWIP, AWS, and IIW. The requirements of the SAIW and WTIA schemes are not listed, but generally they are closer to those of the IIW scheme. It is obvious that there are considerable differences in the formal requirements, experience, training, exams. Comparison for level 1: PCM designation Welding Inspector level 1, experience 1 month, education not required, training 12 hours, written test 30 MCQs, practical 2 welds. CSWIP 3.0 designation Visual Welding Inspector, CSWIP 3.0, experience no required, education no required, training 24 to 32 hours, written test no, but practical 2 welds. AWS designation CAWI, Certified Associate Welding Inspector, experience 2 years / 6 months, education, high school or college, no training required, written 242 multi MCQs, practical no. IIW/IEWF designation basic level, experience no required, education no required, training 65 plus 40 hours, written no test, practical no test. So for level 2 comparison, PCM designation welding inspector level 2, experience for direct entry 1 year 6 months with NDT, experience at level 1 no, education no, training 40 hours required, written test 30 MCQs plus for a narrative, practical 2 welds, 2 macros 1 bend, CSWIP welding inspector 3.1 designation, experience direct entry 3 years, experience at entry at level 1 2 years, education no, training 5 days, written 90 MCQs, practical 2 hours, 2 macros, 2 bend. AWS-CWI designation, CWI experience directly entry 5 years or 3 years, experience at level 1 no, education high school or college, training no, written 242 MCQs, practical paper B required. Another IIW/EWF designation standard level, experience direct entry, experience at level 1 no, education IWS international welding specialist, training required 94 plus 63 hours, written practical as per standard. Comparison for level 3, PCM designation welding inspector level 3, experience direct entry 5 years, experience at level 2 2 years, education no, training 40 hours, written 30 MCQ plus 40 narrative, practical special radiography interpretation included in this exam, practical exam. CSWIP 3.2 designation, experience direct entry 5 years, experience at level 2 2 years, education no, training 5 days, written narrative test, practical special radiographic interpretation optional. CC 3.2 is 3.2.1 is with radiography interpretation, CC 3.2.2 with radiography interpretation. AWS designation senior certified welding inspector, experience direct entry for 15 years, 13 years required, experience at level 2, education high school or college, no training special required, written 200 MCQs, practical no, radiography interpretation not included. IWEWF designation comprehensive level, experience direct entry, experience at level 2 no, education international welding technologies IWT, training required 122 plus 97 hours, written practical radiography interpretation as per requirements of the standards. Based on comparison like this, the WTIA in 2012 published a guidance note on comparison of welding inspector qualification and certifications, and updated from the table included in a WTI used a 4-level structure to accommodate the 3 levels of all schemes, as the requirements of the IIW, SAIW, WTIA are higher than those of AWS-CWIP PCN for the same formal level. Here is the table of comparison of welding inspector schemes. First column, International Institute of Welding IIW Level 1 No. International Welding Inspector Basic Level, International Welding Inspector Standard Level, International Welding Inspector Comprehensive Level. Welding Technology Institute of Australia WTIA. There are WTIA Certified Comprehensive Welding Inspector CCWI Level 4, WTI Certified Senior Welding Inspector CSWI Level 3, WTI Certified Welding Inspector CWI Level 2. Third column, South African Institute of Welding SAIW Level 3 Welding Fabrication and Inspector, SAIW Level 2 Welding Fabrication Inspector, SAIW Level 1 Welding Fabrication Inspector. Fourth column, AWS American Welding Society Certified Senior Welding Inspector CSWI equal to Level 3, Certified Welding Inspector CWI equal to Level 2, and Certified Associate Welding Inspector CAWI Level 1. Next column, C-SWIP C-SWIP 3.2 Senior Welding Inspector Level 3 equal to Level 3, C-SWIP 3.1 Welding Inspector or Level 2, C-SWIP 3.0 Visual Welding Inspector Level 1. Next, Personnel Certification in Non-Destructive Testing PCN schemes. PCN Welding Weld Inspection Level 3 equal to Level 3, PCN Welding Inspection Level 2, PCN Welding Inspection Level 1. Next, Certification Board for Inspection Personnel CBIP New Zealand's certification schemes. Here is a two-level CBIP Senior Welding Inspector, CBIP Welding Inspector. Next scheme is British Gas Approval Scheme, BGAS, UK. Here is a two-level BGAS Senior Welding Inspector and BGAS Welding Inspector. Fees for different schemes are AWS-CWI, initial CAWI exams for members $1,185, for non-members are $1,450 plus institution fees for training. Fees for CSWIP. Fees varies in different countries. In Pakistan, it is about 4.25 lakh to 4.75 lakh including training, approximately USD 2000 to 2500. IWIP fees vary in different countries. In Pakistan, rupees are IWIP comprehensive 8 lakh, IWIP S 750 lakh, IWIP basic B 7 lakh rupees. Recertification validity. AWS scheme recertification required after 3 years. CSWIP scheme recertification required after 5 years. IIW scheme lifetime, no certification required. Which certification is best? AWS-CWI versus CSWIP versus IWIP. AWS-CWI is a good choice among CSWIP
as it is based on American codes and specifications. We said that because major industries in worldwide, especially in Asia, Middle East, America, and Africa region, works with ASME, AWS, and API codes. These codes are taught in AWS-CWI at many references. While the C-suite is based on ISO standards, it is easy to gain CWB Welding Inspector certificate based on IWS-CWI credential. AWS-CWI is less costly than SWIP. IWIP inspectors are not much in demand in Asia, America, Middle East, or Africa region as on today. If we discuss about salary of welding inspectors, salary of welding inspector depend upon experience, qualification, country, type of company. In general, a welding inspector in Gulf countries can earn from 1000 USD to 7000 US dollar based on experience and companies.
Is there a need for an international standard? The brief description in this video of the welding inspector qualification and or certification schemes leads to the conclusion that while they are geared towards the same job descriptions, they are not directly comparable. In an international market, this may lead to difficulties. For example, a contract may specify AWS-CWIP implicitly excluding personnel qualified under another scheme. Requirement of ISO 38345 with the option of acceptable national qualification further confuse the situation. Scheme owners have tried for decades to offer easy access to their schemes to persons certified and or qualified under another scheme. For example, TWI-CSWIP offers so-called bridging examinations for persons holding certifications by BGAS both ways. AWI's WTIA, SAIW, etc. BINDT PCN also offered in the past a transition from BGAS welding inspector to PCN welding inspector level 2. These and other similar exams, however, are not readily available when needed, and they may be expensive. By 1999, it was already obvious that the mutual recognition between AWS and CSWIP had reduced potential competition, and it was expected that it would eventually produce harmonization and possibly integration of the main scheme. Macron, Jessup, 1999. Therefore, an international standardized scheme is required. The scheme should be based on the following principles. The welding inspector, in his basic role, is not a welding engineer. He is a shop level specialist in quality control and quality assurance. Welding inspection is basically a knowledge and procedure oriented activity, especially if compared with skill oriented activities such as welding and non destructive testing. There is still need for skill assessment in the direct visual inspection testing role. The training and examination should reflect these roles, taking into account ISO 14731 Annex B and not deviate deeply in specialized welding technology topics. So the international scheme should be closer to the AWS-CWIP approach. Regarding the number of levels of certification, qualification, even a single level scheme would be acceptable. A two-level scheme has some advantage because it allows easier and more gradually access to technicians without extensive theoretical knowledge of welding technology. If a three-level scheme is specified, level 3 tasks and responsibilities must be specified carefully with minimal overlap with the welding engineer role. The scheme must be carefully designated and specified so that it can be certified by bodies accredited under ISO IEC 17024.